Hello everyone, Kireth here, and we are again racing the best drivers in the world of gtsport. Kie25, Wilmot, Got Mass Power, Consta, and this guy ahead of us, Pete Walker GTR. Many people speculating is indeed the alt account of Momoz 91. We will find out in this race, where I have some pretty brutal head-to-head wheel-to-wheel battles, including with Kie25, having a very good dice. And yeah, we're at Dragon Trail Seaside, Daily Race C in the GT2 cars, or Group 2 cars. Pretty much everyone in the Nissan GTR. You can see we've got a Spaniard for company already. He drops out here. Always a bit awkward when someone dives up the inside and someone has done behind. Mad Gunner. Mad by name, mad by nature, and rip to Mad Gunner. I think possibly dispatched by the Spaniard there, so we've got a casualty already. Mad Gunner is not having a good time with it off the start in these races. And yeah, ahead of us, P Walker GTR. Let me know in the comments as burst goes off. Wow, burst is off. Calamities already. Let me know in the comments if you come across P Walker GTR. I believe he's a racer with a strong reputation, so we're going to go head to head. I'm going to do my best for Team KRT as we go through Chicane here for the first time. I can see, I think that's 4th place already, just in the distance, so not doing too badly. This was my first race back on GT Sport for a couple of weeks out, and I was immediately just back in the zone. I really had missed racing on GT Sport. There is nothing like it. Wheel-to-wheel racing, jump into a daily race, get put in your split, and familiar faces. Honestly, I just absolutely live for this. As we're going to get a decent slip going into what is the real turn one at Seaside, the left-hander. Are we going to dive from the Spaniard? No, we're not. As we go quite deep there. So we've caught up quite significantly. In quali, I would definitely shift up to 3rd gear there earlier for the right-hander, just to minimise the wheel spin going up the hill. So we're behind the Greek driver now. He goes a little bit wide. And, oh, a little bit of... Whoa, big oversteer on the Greek driver. He manages to save it. Fair play. That would have been quite a sight inside of that car. Laden around. Going to get the dirty air now through the S's. It's a big feature of this race, dirty air through the S's. Somehow managed to do okay and just get my nose up the inside, and fair play, the Greek driver doesn't really squeeze me out, so I'm going to try and do it on the brakes here. And got to defend against the cutback now, and we're okay. So up to P8. I can't remember where we started in this race, but we've made quite a few positions, not really doing an awful lot, although that was a legit overtake. Decently worked. So we're going to lose someone else. The Daplin's gone. The Daplin has hit the wall and died. There he is, feeding back to the Piranhas from 8th place and below as we go quite deep here into this last corner. I really struggled this corner. I think over the last year, Seaside is probably the track I've driven the most on GT Sport, and I still haven't really nailed that last corner. I'm very inconsistent through that. But up to 7th place on my return in a top split lobby. I'm enjoying it. I'm loving life. And we've got P Walker, a little bit of glitching there. That's okay. We can deal with that. I have, more importantly, lost a bit of time. We've got R4M, Jensen Button behind us now. Are they going to go for a look? Probably not here. It's always a risky place to dive up the inside here. It is a decent place to overtake. You can get the move done, but you will just both lose so much time. So often it happens in the latter stages of a race, not early on like here. Going to try and get a good run through the S's. The gap to P Walker is 1.1 seconds. Can we bring it down through the exit of Chicane, where I'm usually okay? Do like to be quite committed, and going to get a nice tap from the rear from Jensen there, so working together, very smart. Maybe he senses that we can attack P Walker as a duo going through Chicane now. Are we going to be flat? Probably not in the meantime. You can see my throttle flickering there on the entry, so I definitely need to recalibrate my throttle. It's at full throttle now. But some kind of flickering issue going up there. I need all of the horsepower I can get. P Walker goes a little bit wide that time. You can see the gaps increase massively to 1.5 seconds. We're not going to dive into the pits now. This was my first race, so I didn't know when to pit. I was just going to pit when the drivers around me pit. So here comes Jensen up the inside. Will Murdoch as well. Looking interested. What's going to go on here? It's going to be a 3-wide situation. I've got the inside, and I'm going to try and stick to it, but I get done around the outside. Fair play. They were later on the brakes. have to concede the corner, and Will Murdoch has done a 2 for 1 there. So absolutely superb stuff. Is he going to get lunged into this right-hander? No, but that's very close behind. So Will Murdoch might have had to brake a little bit later just to save himself from the danger of a ram. So in the Dirty Anna, the Pleen who's died but has been reborn is only a second behind. That's pretty impressive. And we've yo-yoed back down to 9th place now, so bit of a topsy-turvy race. And this race is going to get really intense once the pit stops start happening. People pitting at different stages. This was very early on the Monday evening. So Monday nights on GTsport, as if you're watching you'll know, tend to be pretty intense as everyone jumps on. I feel like getting a win in a Monday night GTsport Daily Race C is almost up there with FIA. Kind of has that prestige. As here comes the Depleen up the inside. He's going to go a bit deep. We're not going to get the cut back. And we're actually, looks like we're going to dive into the pits. Okay, so for some reason I'm diving into the pits on lap 4. Okay, weird flex, but we'll do it. That's going to mean that we'll get a mad undercut. The lap after. Look at that lint livery, looking resplendent. Milk white, yes indeed. It's actually been a long time since I've had a lint. I think lints are more a winter chocolate than a summer chocolate. Just personal preference. And we're going to drop all the way down now to P17. And behind us we've got Kie25 and Consta, who must have also pitted early. In fact, at least a lap earlier than us. So there are some people doing a alternate strategy. They're going side by side there. That looks exciting. And there's someone behind in 20th looking for some action as well. So need to drive well here. I don't want to get caught up in that pack. Although we're talking, these are some of the fastest drivers in the world behind us. People who regularly compete in top split. Consta, I think, going to the Olympics as well for the Olympics World Tour event. So racing an Olympian, very exciting. That Olympic time trial was at Tokyo, so wasn't the best track for me. Going into the hairpin now, Kie25 has got past behind. Oh, it's dicing behind. Side by side it must be, swapping positions. And 1.8 to the driver ahead. But really the interesting thing is going to be where we come out relative to the drivers who are going to pit this lap. And there will be a bigger swathe of drivers picking this lap. So this will be interesting. Pretty soon we'll start to see the pit boards on the left-hand side with their tyres as we go around. You can see on the radar there is a driver in the pits. In fact, there's a couple. Look to be moving now. Let's see what's going to happen on pit exit. So we're getting past someone there. Getting past the Depleen. So undercut the Depleen. Very nice. And Will Murdoch is ahead of us, but not massively ahead of us. So maybe Will Murdoch was battling on the previous lap. Although I guess we should have been undercutting him more. Still got constant company behind. And this is where this race really starts to compress, because you definitely have the faster drivers at this stage behind. People like Consta, people like Key. And you've got Will Murdoch as well, caught by some traffic. And the dirty air does make it very difficult to overtake. Particularly into the hairpin, the right-hander hairpin we're going to see here. Because of the dirty air through the S's, it's difficult to get a good rundown. So you can see Consta is a much faster driver than me. Isn't in striking range, as Will Murdoch is going to dive up the inside there of the Spaniard. Fair play. And we are slowly getting closer to that pack. We've got a Spaniard, a Brit, and I think another Greek driver ahead. So in a Greek sandwich, a Greek kebab. And here we go, more drivers pitting. So Jono's in the pits, P. Walker's in the pits. Consta's going to look up the inside. I'm not going to fight it here because I know he's a much better driver. So happy to just slot in behind him. I don't think my race is going to be with Consta. So here we go, more drivers in the pits. We'll have a 2-lap undercut, so they'll have been on mediums for 2 laps, we've been on softs. What's that going to mean? And you can see it's closer here for R Jensen Button and P. Walker GTR. Very condensed now, as going to think about going around the outside of Jensen, not going to quite happen. Needed to be more committed on the brakes. Probably could have tried to do that move because I'm on soft tyres that are up to temperature. He would have been on soft tyres that are cold. It is what it is, and you can see now it's really condensing. The race kind of strung out and then has really come back together. I don't know how many cars are ahead of 10th there. We'll see as we go down the hill. It's a pack of 4 or 5. So we're looking up to P5 or so. As we're all battling the dirty air. The Depleen now is very close to company behind me. You can see there. Am I going to go defensive? I probably am. Yes, we do. We do go defensive. Bit of late swapping and changing up there. P. Walker tries to hang it with Constant. Not quite going to happen. Surely going to be some shenanigans at Death Chicane here. We've got the Depleen behind. Jensen Button ahead on the ultra count. Going through Death Chicane. Quite a big lift for me, to be honest, but more important to make it through safely. I think the Depleen might have grazed the wall. In fact, he definitely has. Dropping back that much. Going into the last corner. 2 cars ahead, going side by side. P. Walker goes up the inside of Consta. A little bit of an aggressive move. In fact, pretty impressive move to manage to squeeze up the inside there. I don't think he pushed Consta wide. And Jensen Button takes some ice as well. So, yeah, there's a lot going on. It's going to be side by side going into turn 1 here. Is Consta going to lick up the inside, make it a 3 wide? Yes, he does. Go for that move. Obviously, I massively rate that move, having done it a few times myself. And we're going to try and sneak up the inside of P. Walker there. So it's all chopping and changing. This is quite incredible stuff. And the Depleen is going side by side with Walker behind. Does make it through. So it's hard to keep up with the position changes. And the Greek drivers have bridged. So 8th and 9th locked out by the Greeks. Let's see if Consta can progress some more. But yeah, turn 1 in these cars. I don't know what it is, because I think in the GTR, you do get such a significant closing speed going into the braking zone that as we're going to... Don't close the door there. So should we try and do the cut back? No. Very good move by the Depleen. So we have to file in behind him. Fair play. Depleen versus someone who's got on the bumper. I can't see. I don't know if it's the Depleen or the Daplin. I think I prefer the Daplin, although my teammate Rory Alexander prefers the Depleen. So we'll call it the Depleen in honour of my injured teammate. Now here's Kie25 behind. I am going to go defensive. Kie goes for that wavy move. Sneaks up the inside, but goes a bit too deep. And I'm going to cut back here, side by side. Got to leave the space on the exit, which we do. Boom. There we go. Will to with Kie, and I think that was an opportunistic move on his part, diving up the inside there quite late. Let's see what's going to happen. It's going to be very difficult to defend here. I'll have to be very late on the brakes. Kie25 goes around the outside. I do stick my nose in, but he's got the inside now, so fair play, good move. And we've got P. Walker GTR behind for company as well, and got Matt's power. I'm going to try and just keep this position here. Here we go. Oh, got Matt's power very late on the brakes. Side by side with P. Walker behind. Looked like a bit of an instant there. Are we going to get a big gap? No, we're not. They're still only half a second behind, so we're going to try and follow Kie25 through these S's. So Kie25 did pit even earlier than us. But both of our tyres, to be honest, are not going to be in good shape. You can see how much time we lose here in the dirty air. So we're in P13, yo-yoing about in this race. It's pretty intense as it's about 4 wide into the hairpin ahead. The Daplin and that's not Constant, that's the other Greek driver, Illusion 428. Filtering back. I don't know if they're on another alternate strategy, maybe going longer on the soft tyres. To follow Kie25 through here. Get a decent run. Could possibly think now, probably too far back to think about a send. Unless it was going to be a monster send, 3/10 behind. That's too far back. Last lap, maybe. But not on lap 9 now. Well, these laps are really ticking by. Only going to be 4 laps to go. And look at the state of my tyres already. They are not looking good. I didn't really know what the strategy was, but I think pitting on lap 4 is pretty rogue. But anyway, P13, and we're still in contention here for, you know, a top 10 or higher. Definitely in the mix, as this Greek driver seems to be filtering back. I remember seeing that rear of that car early in the race, so we may have overtaken him previously. Surely Kie25 is going to have a look. But is he going to get it done before the S's? If you don't get it done before the S's, actually poor run from the Greek driver. That's going to gift it to Kie25. And I'm going to have to deal with the dirty air here. Let's see, trying to go as far to the left as I can. And then over to the right. You can see the car understeering now, combination of the tyres and the dirty air. Definitely within striking range here. Am I going to go for it? Yeah, I can sense I am. And there we go. Bit of a late move, little bit of contact, but I think that's fair enough, although the Greek driver does get, unfortunately, washed out there. But yeah, perhaps not the tidiest move, but I think that was a legitimate move. Always shaping up to do it, and again, a little bit of a better run out of there than Kie25. He must be struggling tyres. He's got Matt's power. He's going to go up the inside. What's going to happen here? We're going to try and just slot him behind, I think. Yep, there we go. Probably better now to bump. Got Matt's power. What am I going to do? Bump or go for the overtake? No real point going for an overtake here because you won't have the inside from the next corner, so we'll bump. Still could potentially go for it here, but I don't think we are. Just back out. Have a little bit of respite. There is a big battle going on ahead. The battle for 10th or 9th. So maybe the three of us, the 3 Brits, can work together to catch up. We will see. Only a couple of laps to go now. As I'm looking at the tyres. They're not great, but to be honest, my times aren't... They're not horrendously bad relative to the drivers around me. So still in the mix. Going down to 4th gear now there. Just really struggling with this complex. But so has got Matt's power, who must be on another alternate strategy. We are dropping the Greek driver behind. I can see Burrs back on the radar. There we go. 3 wide ahead. That's the battle for 8th place. Really condensed race here. Dropping off slightly now. But the next 2 laps are going to be absolutely critical as everyone's going to be struggling with the tyres. Always really difficult to call this race as to... Oh, Kie25 hits the wall! F in the chat. So I don't know if that's on the right-hand side. And that is a combination of the tyres and the dirty air. Just makes it really, really difficult in these last few laps. And you can gain huge amounts of time, but also lose huge amounts of time as well. Made a new word there, luge. Combining lose with huge. Don't think it will catch on. So, 2 laps to go. Burst and Keys battling behind. That's probably good news for me. Got Matt's power 1.5 ahead. And the battle for 8th is still raging. And all that battling is going to be taking out of their tyres. And I really haven't had to battle too much actually recently. So, been able to save my tyres a little bit. Although we did drop into the 30s in the previous lap. That is relatively slow place in this race. We will see what the split time is going to be here. I'm really struggling with the oversteer. Bears has got ahead behind. So pretty similar to my split last time round. My fastest lap was a second off. The fast lap in the race was a second and a bit, which is not too bad. I think being a second off fast and top split is probably good for me. As I'm just having to bide my time now, really. And hope something is going to kick off ahead. As we go very deep, that's a really bad corner. That's going to lose me a lot of time, actually. Burst, let's go a little bit deeper as well. I think a lot of us are really struggling on the tyres at this moment in time. Death chicane, we saw a death on the previous lap. We just about get through okay. Don't hit the wall on the outside. So I'm in between Got Matt's power and Burrs. And to be honest, I'm more worried at this stage about Burrs coming back. My tyres are really not in a good shape right now. Have a look at my front left, which is getting punished through corners like this as you do lean on the outside wheel. The gap to Burrs 1.7. Last lap, here we go. Just in the 129, so a better lap than the previous one for me. But more than a second off my fastest lap. Amazing how the times really do fluctuate here in this race. And I really enjoyed this race. Let me know in the comments if you thought this was a good daily race. I know Dragon Trail Seaside is overused. I completely get that. But I think it's more overused in Group 4 and Group 3. I think this combination in Group 2 feels really fresh, actually. And although I don't really get on with Group 2 cars, I don't really understand how to keep the cornering speed, how to really use the high downforce, compared to players like Kie, who are, they really enjoy these Group 2 cars and are very good at them. But thinking back, Group 2s at Suzuka I really enjoyed. Group 2s at Red Bull Ring I thought was a superb combo. Group 2s at Dragon Trail Seaside I think is great. What about a Group 2 kind of championship? Going around Monza, going around Suzuka, going around Fuji, obviously, which I actually enjoyed yesterday in the Group 2s as well. So, hang on a second. Maybe I'm really starting to get into these Group 2s. Final lap. Going to go through Death chicane. Burst is 1.6 behind. I think it's going to be too late for Burst. Barring any kind of last corner shenanigans. You never know. Could be a dive. But I think we're going to be okay. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Another daily race. I just can't wait to get back in. The kind of enforced break with my injury has meant I've come back really hungry. So do feel free to drop a like or even subscribe, or let me know what you thought about any of the moves in this race. But I hope you enjoyed it. A P12 here, so not the best result, but not terrible either. And I will see you next time.